Hey folks, it's Rob, and this is the demo for The Secret of Weepstone, specifically demo version 1.3, currently available October 30th of 2025. I played through this recently. No one is paying me to say any of this. No one has approached me to say any of this. I just felt like, you know what, I like this game so much, I think it's going to be a good match for some of the people on my channel. Because quite a few of you joined me when I was reviewing video games on a regular and playing video games on a regular basis. I haven't done that in quite some time. A little bit of Sword of the Stars, the Pit back Christmas as a special, but otherwise, I've been leaning heavily on tabletop role-playing games, and specifically D&D, and I'm not changing my focus, but I thought that this game appealed to me so much as the particular kind of old school grognard that I am, that I should show you folks. And this would appeal to some of the old video game fans and maybe to some of the new tabletop fans. This is a kind of slice of the game. It is not a spoiler of the intended game. It is basically kind of jumbled and changed and modified to be a demo of a unique content, kind of. Possibly not totally unique, but certainly it's not meant to be a spoiler for the game. So I have played this demo once. I greatly enjoyed it. I thought, why not? Also, I like this art style is going to be a little polarizing, I imagine, but I quite like it. It's quite reminiscent of, well, first off, it's obviously black and white primarily, right? It is not sketch work, though. It is like when you have a sheet of paper covered in like black wax and you scrape away at it to reveal the picture. Or as if you had carved a jack-o'-lantern by removing all the outer rind, leaving the more translucent thin pith underneath, right? And this is our special little extra video for Halloween that I thought I would do. So I hope you enjoy it. Hopefully the music isn't too loud. I have set the options to 60% and reduce the decibel in my mixer by approximately 17 decibels. Their options are fairly limited because this is a demo. It is mouse driven. Let's get into it. We'll have a period of narration as we set up the story. So here we go.
Nestled in the shadow of its imposing, now abandoned keep, sits the dwindling riverside village of Weepstone. But things were not always so. For in times gone by, a man from the east, known only as Rahl, grew to power, waging a relentless campaign westward. After crossing the mountains into the kingdom of Talesworth, he established his seat of power and constructed a stronghold from which to oversee his lands. He called this stronghold Weepstone Keep. Many wondered what compelled this mysterious and seemingly unstoppable warrior to end his bloody campaign in this place. But the years were good to Weepstone and its people, their harvests unfailingly robust, and their industries the envy of neighbors both near and far. However, Rahl would not live forever, and upon his death, his lands passed to his eldest son, Byron, and thus began the troubled times. Long past are the seasons of plenty for Weepstone and its people, whose fields now sit barren, the people forsaken by the good fortunes they once took for granted. To the astonishment of many, Byron abandoned Weepstone Keep for a modest manor on a hill near the town, and forbade anyone to return to its halls. Now the town barely survives, mostly as an unwelcome stop along a trade route used by merchants too impatient to travel the hospitable roads of the south. Only the trapped or the desperate continue to call this bleak place their home. Our story begins here, on a night of ill omen, as the people of Weepstone have been called to the tavern for reasons unknown.
Good people of Weepstone, I've summoned you here to discuss a matter of grave importance. My brother and your lord, Byron, has fallen ill.
Now this is our potential cast of characters, as we'll see. About half of these are currently available for the demo, which will dictate our party's composition. We'll get into it a bit more in a moment.
He is rarely conscious. His nights are fraught with fevered dreams and terrible nightmares. The healers know not what ails him. In his half-waking state, he mumbles incoherently of Weepstone Keep, the castle that our father built, our childhood home. I can only hope that it is there where answers may lie. Are there any among you willing to delve into that forsaken place to find the source of Byron's torment? I will not lie. There is undoubtedly great danger waiting for any who venture there, in the form of both man and beast. While the keep and its contents have been forbidden since our exile, I hereby decree that any brave enough to take on this task may enter, explore, and importantly, keep what they may find within its walls. Who among you will take up this duty? I need 6 volunteers. Please, I would rather not have my hand forced to choose.
So, as you can see, I need to select 6 volunteers. And now as I mouse over, they are all individually highlighted. As I said, not all of them are going to be available. They vary quite wildly. Here we have Ebba Eccleston. Ebba is beloved by all who know her, and in the minds of many could do no wrong. That was until she fed spoiled oats to Lord Byron's favorite mare, killing the beast and losing her job as a stable hand. Future class magic user. What this means is that we start out with a bunch of level 0 party members, and they will progress into classes of the traditional Dungeons & Dragons type. As we can see, this character is unavailable in the demo. So we can't select that one. But let's select one we can, since I know which ones are available. The Kid. Street urchin. No one's sure where the kid is from. He's never spoken a word to anyone. Only those new to town would be unwise enough to leave anything valuable unattended when he's nearby. Future class, Thief. He's going to volunteer. We now see a little flame over his head. And we now need 5 more volunteers. So I need to select 5 more members of this part of this motley crew here. And they volunteer to come and join me on this expedition. Well, they are the expedition. You know, we're just there in spirit, as it were. Let's look around a little more. So here's another one we can't select. Kaelin Quinn, musician. Once known as the Songbird of Trent, Kaelin's promising career as a bard was tragically derailed when she shattered her fretting hand in a bar fight and was forced to resentfully seek out less discerning audiences. Future class, Halfling. And again, this is the kind of old school gaming we're going to be doing. Race has class. Those of you who are in my common viewers of my channel are very familiar with how we do things in the, Beck-Me line of Dungeons & Dragons, which includes class of Halfling. Again, this Kaelin's not available to select. Let's continue to mix up the ones we can and can't, right? We have a, fierce-looking woman over here. Starla Beverly, Zealot. Starla has known the day she would die since she was a child. At least, that's what her cultist parents taught her. She ran away to avoid being their ritual sacrifice and maybe avoid her fate. Future class, Elf. Well, guess what you're volunteering, Starla?
It is beyond me to make this choice. This path has already been chosen for me.
She speaks that for herself. Not to spoil it, but basically there's not a lot of characterization once we start playing in the demo. That may change in the final product. We will see. I'm going to be keeping an eye on this project. And I can back them out if I want to change my mind, right? But as I said, there's only so many options actually available. This fierce-looking man over here with the interesting sign on his sandwich board on his chest is Dalton Coburn, the blacksmith. Dalton was born in Weepstone and has never once set foot more than a league from the town. Since childhood, he's rambled to anyone who would listen about the coming doom that haunts his dreams. Future class cleric. He is not available. How about this man over here in his cups? Tugger Barnes, town drunk. Tugger Barnes looks rough for whatever age he actually is, and depending on the time of day, only half sober at best. But Tugger will tell you that any day now he's got a plan to turn it around. Future class thief. He's also unavailable in the demo. Sorry, folks. How about this guy over here? Elton Winslow, carpenter. Elton is the best carpenter for leagues around and truly, deeply hates carpentry. That may be why he's known to have a strong personality, but he's young even for a dwarf, so it's hard to tell. Future class dwarf. Also, sadly, unavailable for the demo. How about this hail fellow? Tatum Harlow. Village idiot. It would be easy to write Tatum off as a moron if it wasn't for the fact that occasionally he's shockingly smart. However, the townsfolk have generally decided that every village needs an idiot, and sometimes they volunteer. Future class fighter. You're signing up, Tatum.
Okay. What's the key?
Very good. You'll find out, Tatum. This guy, well, I would say uncharacteristic of this crew, band in the background. Ewan Ablethorn. Ewan is a merchant of clearly good breeding and remarkably successful. The most confusing thing about him is why he chooses to remain in Weepstone, the answer to which he alone knows. Future class magic user. Unavailable in the demo. Sorry, guys. Della Graham, housekeeper. In her youth, Della was a housekeeper for Lord Byron's father, Rahl, at Weepstone Keep. She now spends her time gardening with her husband, Egbert, and is known affectionately as Ma Della to the children of the town. Future class cleric. Interestingly, Della is paired with Egbert Graham, the cook. Egbert once served as the cook for Lord Byron's father at Weepstone Keep. He loves only two things, his wife Della, and a perfectly cooked meal. Though mostly retired, he's been known to dust off his knives for a feast day. Future class magic user. If I press volunteer for one, I get both.
I'm always one to lend a hand. And I'll have to see what Della thinks about it.
We know the keep better than most, Egbert. It's only right we try to help.
Right. What about this staring person right dead in the middle here? Nixon Webb. Nixon is an elf and a baker in name only, as her shop was burned to the ground by a spurned lover. She's been trying everything she can to raise the funds to rebuild, unsuccessfully so far. Future class, elf, unavailable in demo. And finally, Ray Wyatt, blacksmith. Ray Wyatt is a middle-aged dwarven blacksmith exiled from the capital city of Talesworth for crafting items forbidden by the Guild of Artificers. When asked about his peg leg, the story changes every time. Future class dwarf. He signs up.
I said I would stick to plows and horseshoes. But I
still know how to swing a hammer. I'll go.
As you can see, it is done. Be brave and report back. We now journey to the keep.
And so the unlikely party set out for the keep, arriving at the gates just as the evening light began to fail.
Those of you may want to pause on that previous screen if you want to see some interesting things. Maybe possibly after you've watched the video. I don't know. So, you know, you got your classic WASD, right? But I have to click to continue before I can. And, you know, it's mouse click. So, you know, very rudimentary standard controls if you've played PC games before. As you can see, things that are highlightable are surrounded by a cyan outline. And we have a couple things around. And some doors, right? Sometimes the doors aren't apparent, but it does say like wooden door above. But for example, like this torch, nothing I can do with that torch. Nothing I can do with this torch. Can't interact with this portcullis that locked us in. We are in here for the duration. So, I'm going to start here.
One can only assume the formidable visage on this statue is Rahl himself. The left hand holds a small shield, while the right hand holds a lion-headed scepter.
Right. So, we click to continue. We have options of moving the arm or doing nothing. I can select who does the action, and that can make a difference. But in this case,
The arm seems to be designed to act as a lever and is already in the down position.
so we'll do nothing. You know, this is already open, right? So we have a very similar statue over here and one of these on the ground. Lion Scepter, a metal scepter that calls to mind the Rahl family crest. It looks like it belongs to something. I'll pick it up. We have an inventory screen here. This is a party inventory down here, but this is the character's inventory. Here we have his Ray's stats, right? He has conditions, mortal favors, and when people, yeah, here we go. Mortal favors. When the people of Weepstone die, they convey otherworldly boons upon their friends and loved ones. Mortal favors vary wildly, and little is known of their origin or cause. You can see, you know, classic D&D kind of saving throws, stats here. The only real variance is that this is an ascending armor class, which is a modern variation, right? Armor class is a measure of the character's armor and defensive reflexes. This number or better must be rolled on a d20 to score a hit against this character. Here's our party gold. Here I have Ray's background. He begins his dwarf abilities at level 1, but currently we are level 0 blacksmith, right? Characters start at level 0, common folk with a profession. Their true class and abilities remain dormant until they reach level 1. Not to spoil things, but there's not enough XP in, well, this game's not set up to progress you a level in the demo. But here we can see we have a blacksmith's hammer, does a d4's damage. He's wearing his leather apron from the forge. That gives him a little better armor class. I can select the other party members in a similar fashion, and we can see what they have. I'm not going to go through the entire party right now because we should be getting into this. Now, here we have a statue, much like the first one, but minus the scepter.
The formidable visage on this statue is Rahl himself. There seems to be something missing from this statue's hand, as though it's meant to grip an object.
So this is our most basic of, you know, puzzles.
The scepter snaps into place with a satisfying click.
Now you may notice we have a search for traps option, and here's one of those where who you select matters. It's based on their wisdom for a raw ability check right now. We can see that Della gets 40% chance to find a trap, while everyone else has 30. So we'll have Della do it. And this is a random chance, so we'll see. Yeah, I know, I was just talking about that demo. Okay, so I want Della, yeah. So, Delagram leans in to closely examine the statue. I'll roll Wisdom ability test privately. Ability tests. Ability tests are based on the character's attributes such as Wisdom or Strength. Character must roll under a percentage based on the difficulty of the check. For example, if there's a 30% chance of success, they must roll 30 or less. Sometimes the roll is done in private by the Dungeon Master, so the player will not know if they succeeded or failed. Private roll. Cleverly concealed within the mechanism is a needle trap. Waiting to prick the careless, it is now safely disarmed, which is generous in that it is detected and disarmed in the same roll, in my opinion. Let's pull the arm now. Now, had I not disarmed the trap, the character would have been damaged by poison for a point of damage. And that would have affected the one who actually, pulled the lever. Here we can see the portcullis has been raised and we have a small healing potion. Great. Small healing potion, a small vial filled with a crimson liquid, faintly glowing. When consumed, it restores 1 to 6 hit points. So, yeah, great. We'll pick that up, throw it in the inventory here. Usable items. Some items, such as potions or scrolls, are expendable. To use them, right-click them in your inventory and select Use. Well, I don't need to right now. Many items are only usable during combat. When an item is used during combat, it will end that character's turn. So, that's what you're going to do instead of attacking or casting a spell if that ever becomes an option for you. So, now I have doors, right? That one's not locked in any way. I can just open it. Same could be said for this one. If I hit M, we bring up the map. You can see this is just the chamber here. Standard mapping iconography. We have star in a circle for a statue. This is a door here. This is room number 1. This is a portcullis across the front here. It looks like it's a module, part 1 of 3 module series. Here we have a rust monster quite clearly as the opening image. Introductory novice level. Once a great castle, Weepstone Keep was abandoned long ago. Now Lord Byron has fallen ill, and his brother searches for answers. The fate of the sovereign is in the hands of 6 villagers, and not a hero among them. The party must explore the decaying keep and uncover the source of Byron's torment. This adventure is intended for 6 level 0 characters. The members will be unskilled and inexperienced, so the party should expect to lose and replenish members as they go, with power maintained through powerful magic items. Interesting. And, as you can see, we have Z to zoom, right? Not that you need it right now. And in this kind of game, you are, nothing really happens until you get to something that causes you to interact with something, and this is us prompting us for the map. You can explore until you encounter something or interact with something, right? So I can wander around these corners pretty freely as long as there's not something in them to encounter. And we'll do that to, kind of expand out the map a little. But, yeah, here we go. We got this corridor full of doors. And let's see, that brings up this map here like this, right? See how it's been fleshed out? And this is the stairs down here. Okay, let's... Because I have played, I have an excellent idea what's behind these doors. But And we'll do this one first. Yeah. This is what I did when I played first time.
Spartan beds and matching foot chests hint at this room's use as a barrack of some kind. The ravages of looters and time have been unkind, leaving it in shambles. A makeshift structure built from bed frames dominates the rear of the chamber.
Right. So, there's a weapon rack here. Oh, and there's a weapon in it. I actually completely missed this when I was here the first time, so this is great. And I'll put it in the inventory, but now I'm going to... So, you have frontliners, backliners, right? So you really want to give melee weapons to frontliners. This is not a very good dagger. It's worse than the hammer, so I want to cycle that out, honestly. This is a spear, and I missed this when I was here for last time too, so great. It's not a great spear. It does 1d6 minus 1, and if you roll a 1 and it takes that 1 point off, you get 0 points of damage. But it's useful for a backliner, and this guy's got a rusty meat cleaver for his weapon, so we're going to change that out. And, you know, spears can reach, right? Yeah, there's a sling in here, so that's great. Slings, you know, they're ranged attacks. They're only a D4, but they can hit any rank of target from wherever they're standing, and that's a handy thing. We'll change out, well, the loaded teddy bear is an interesting weapon. Does 1d6 damage. It's a melee. Fabric casing of a stuffed bear filled with metal pellets. It swings like a flail, or functionally like a blackjack, right? Arguably better than the Smith's hammer, so we'll do that. The beds aren't interactable, but this other chest is. Right. Now there's an encounter here, but let's trip it.
The sound of small boots disturbs the quiet of the room as small figures burst forth from the haphazard barricade. They brandish crude weapons and seem particularly intent on defending their hideout.
So, we got goblins. First, we roll initiative to see who goes first. Your dice are black, and the enemy's dice are green. We won initiative. Party's arranged in up to 3 rows, front, middle, and back. Right now we only have 2. Characters using melee weapons can only attack enemies directly in front of them. Reach weapons, such as spears, can attack up to 2 rows away, and ranged weapon slings can attack any distance. So we can see Ray's combat statistics here on the screen. We choose our melee weapon to attack, and I, pick one of these frontliners. I can't choose a backliner, right? If I want this guy in the back here, oh, I guess they're all frontline. We hit. 5 plus 1 is 6. Yeah, I killed that guy. Okay, he wasn't. They're all frontliners. I didn't know that. Tatum, have him beat up this guy with the axe. 16 plus 1 is 17. Hit. 5 plus 1, 6 points. That'll kill that guy. You don't actually know the AC of these guys, but if you work on it enough, you'll get a handle on it, just like you do with the game proper. Dungeons and Dragons. Another solid hit, but only 3 points. So, yeah, near death. Reached and ranged weapons. Although this character is not in the front row, they have a weapon equipped which can strike enemies from a distance. When I played this the first time, I didn't have a sling on the kid, and they handed me a spear to equip it for him. But now I don't. And, oh, he's got +3 adjustment for dexterity. An 8 hit. Okay. Well. This has reach. We can just reach over. stab a guy. See, the -1 affects the ability to hit too. And yeah, see, 1 point of damage. And then Della has her sling. But a 2's gonna miss. Attack rolls must meet or exceed the defender's armor class in order to hit. So now it's the goblin's turn. And this one tried attacking Tatum and missed. This one's going for Ray and missed. Alright, and it's our turn again. You know, side, that kind of thing. Double-clicking an enemy is a shortcut for attacking them with your equipped weapon. So, you know, you just like double-click this guy. That'll hit. That'll kill it. And then Tatum, you take care of this guy, huh? Yep. Yeah. And that's that. 75 XP for the enemies, 46 for gold. You get XP for gold, 121 XP. Having a quick nosy back here where these guys were at, and we can see that there's these grain sacks we can't interact with, and this chest. Chest contained a +1 dagger. 1d4 +1. Pristine example of what the dagger should be. Yes, we'll pick that up. Who should I give that to? Well, I'm inclined to be giving it to someone who's going to be, you know, take advantage of it. She's got her, like, heritage sword, which is a decent enough weapon. He's got the Morning Star, and he's got the teddy bear. They're all D6 weapons, but I want to give the +1 dagger to one of them because that is another +1 to hit and damage. So the base damage is higher, and I'll hit more often, right? So let's do this. And there's a lever here. We don't know what this does, but I do. But we don't. I'm going to pull the lever anyway, even though that's a terrible idea when you don't know what that does.
A grinding noise, followed by the sound of metal scraping on stone, echoes from deep within the keep.
No, that said number 2 armory, and this is number 4 barracks. Here we have a door across the hall.
This door is wedged shut by the damp and refuses to open, despite your best efforts.
Okay, so yeah, that won't open readily. Hacking it down.
Your weapons and inexperience do little to harm the stout door.
Yeah. Even if I were to use Tatum.
Your weapons and inexperience do little to harm the...
So yeah, we just can't do that. Now, when I switch around, it's based on strength. Sandra, Tatum, and Ray have a 25% chance. The kid has 20, Egbert has 20, and Della has 20. So every time I slam myself into this door, I'm going to take a point of damage. And, you know, we'll see. Oh, I didn't even bother to get in this door last time because I'd failed so many times. But we succeeded. And because I succeeded, I wasn't injured. Awesome.
Really reserved for a captain or leader of the keep's guard. The contents of this room appear mostly untouched over the years, as various papers and a book sit undisturbed upon a wooden desk.
I was fully prepared to batter that door down because I hadn't been in here. And this is probably my final playthrough of this demo right now because I'm exploring options I hadn't done before. There's a captain's journal, a lore book.
My thoughts of late are greatly troubled, and my faith in our Lord falters. That priestess, Lerona, and her jealously guarded activities beneath the keep bring me great concern. If the captain of his Lord's guard is not permitted to venture below to the Undercroft, one can only imagine why.
Ominous. And we have a chest. In it is a scroll of lightning, a crackling parchment infused with arcane energy. When unfurled, it unleashes a bolt of searing lightning upon its target, doing 1d4 damage. Not very impressive, I would say. I certainly didn't have access to this before. It's a usable item, but it's also... like, none of the weapons are worse than that. This here.
A foul odor pervades this place. A smell so heinous it is beyond description. A sitting board runs the length of the far wall, with 3 openings. Despite the buzzing flies, you hear the faintest sound of rushing water that seems to be coming from the farthest hole.
Right, so I know from previous hard-won experience, this hole here
Peering into the opening shows a drop that leads out of sight and into absolute darkness, farther than any sane person would attempt to climb, unless, of course, they wished for certain death. You hear the sound of rushing water coming from below.
and I can toss in a rock. Yep, that took a while to splash. If you climb in, say goodbye to that character, so I'm going to back away. But it's an excellent way to get some boons by sacrificing somebody you don't care about, I suppose. Toilet number 2.
As you approach the middle latrine, you are blasted by an odor beyond words. You have no choice but to back away.
Apparently that one suffered taco night, and we don't want to get near that one. This one's gross, I'll warn you.
Your guts roil. Your eyes water. Whatever faith you have is tested by the putrid fumes that waft from this unholy maw. Shockingly, the latrine is not only quite full, but its contents are surprisingly fresh. A glint of gold sits just out of reach, atop the muck.
Gross, right? Let's toss in a rock. Yep, that plopped pretty much immediately, right? It's so gross. It's just so gross.
You sift blindly through horrors within, and to your surprise, you retrieve what feels like a ring. You emerge from the hole, smelling foul and feeling quite ill. Let us see if you are poisoned.
This is funny.
Let's just say that you're poisoned.
Yeah, see, now we take some damage, but we get a ring of regeneration. A brass ring emitting a soft green glow. It heals the wearer 1d4 hit points when combat ends. So, it doesn't work outside of combat. You know, it only works, it has to be equipped to the character. We have to end a combat because basically this is kind of turnless, empty, endless time right here between moving around from encounter to encounter. Which is, I guess, not terribly old school D&D, but it is how the mechanics of this game work. Now, that explores out this area. We have down the side passage here, or we can go back across the other way. Now, I know if we go up over here, there's this door.
This door is not locked, but it refuses all attempts to open it.
Now I can listen.
No discernible sounds come from beyond the door. You attack the door, but fail to cause any significant damage.
I've never been able to break down this door. On the map, and if I zoom in, you can see it's differently coated on the wall. Here it's solid, which makes me think it's possibly a false door. Over here, we have a portcullis. There actually was a second portcullis here to spoil you. Pushing that lever caused that to rise up. So, we have to find the other one. Here we have another door. Looking at the map, that leads to a new room we haven't been to, so...
This stately but smaller hall seems to have served as a gallery of sorts. Crumbled detritus of carved busts and toppled plinths lie in shambles across the floor. The only remnants that hint at the original grandeur of this place are the large tapestries that still hang on the opposing walls, dominating the space.
And that is what's in here. We have 2 murals. Nothing else, really. The murals can be interacted with.
Before you spans a great mural dominating the entire stretch of wall. A man, most likely Rahl himself, sits astride his great warhorse. He brandishes an outstretched sword at the body of a fallen foe, flanked by his imposing host. Depicted in the mural that spans the length of this side of the hall is the silhouette of a man standing in front of what looks like a calm pool of water. Though at first it appears to be merely a pool in a cavern, the exacting geometric carvings that decorate the hewn stone walls are of unsettling design.
I feel like that's going to bring up more later. Again, checking the map, this door leads out of here onto this wing of the castle, as it were. As you can see, this connects over. There's another stair, stairs down. More doors, right? And this all links up, right?
This door is locked and won't budge.
It's a locked door.
You hear a soft chittering, followed by the clatter of metal on stone.
Interesting. So we have a use item. So, we don't have an item to use currently, but we could if we did. Let's do this one.
The smith's quarters are Spartan and humble, but must have once been a comfortable respite from the heat and ringing of the forge after a long day's labors.
Right, so we have a toppled stool, we have a table, we have a key mold, we have Smithy's notes, a box we can't interact, a bed we can't interact with. The classic staple of the ever-lit torch that never burns out, never needs replaced. Key mold. Small hardened clay mold, carefully shaped to cast a metal key. I will take that. And then...
I'm a daft, blasted idiot. I just can't seem to keep my head on straight anymore these days. 1. Forge the armory key for the 3rd time this year. 2. Finish up Larona's set of fancy daggers. 3. Ask the apothecary about these blasted nightmares.
Well, this is our second mention of Larona, because the captain's book had that her mentioned too.
The large forge at the center of this room seems long dormant, but the smell of coke and coal still permeates every inch. Crates, barrels, and scattered ashes are scant reminders that this was once the beating heart of the keep.
And, again, we have a variety of non-interactable objects, but we do have an indentation, a bucket for the melting pot, wood, this isn't interactable, but this bellows is, and a crate of steel ingots, right? Yeah, I'll take a steel ingot. A dense rectangular bar of refined steel ready for forging into weapons, armor, or tools. Pick that up, drop it in the inventory. If I were to go to the melting pot, I can use an item. I can put the steel ingot in there. If I go here to the indentation, you can put the mold in, right? See a spout there, right? And here at the bellows,
The forge is not lit, so the bellows have no effect.
yep, see? So I have to go over here to the
You
wood.
lean in, lighting the forge with your torch. It is indeed lit, but only just. The forge begins heating up as you pump the bellows, but the embers remain quite cold. As more air pumps into the forge, you begin feeling some heat. The forge is as hot as it's going to get. The heat feels good in this cold, forgotten place. As the ingot begins to melt, the steel slowly oozes into the mold. After a few minutes, the newly forged key is just barely cool enough to handle.
Right, and now we can take the armory key, a small key forged of steel. I can drop it here. And we have a door over here. We should do this.
A filthy, disheveled man holding a knife cowers in the corner while eyeing you cautiously. Makeshift bedding and various personal effects lie in disarray. The smell is pungent.
Pungent, you say?
What are you lot doing in here?
We're on a mission on behalf of Lord of Weepstone, or his brother at least.
Curse that place and everyone in it. Like them bastards were more than happy to see the back of old Creek.
Oh, poor old Craig. Found anything out of the ordinary in the keep?
Other than all the creatures who want me dead. Nothing in particular. No.
So, I'm gonna go with their safety in numbers. You shouldn't be alone in here. Would you like to join our party?
Sure. If you'll, have old Creek.
You got it, Craig. Welcome to the party. Don't think there's anything else in this room. Oh yes, now we can rearrange. So we press C to bring up the character sheet. Right? Click the move button to move them around. Now, you know, and that would swap like that, right? I don't necessarily want Ray in the back, but we should look and see what, you know, Ray can, what Greg can do and that kind of thing. So he's got a high strength, very high strength actually, and a high dexterity. He's not otherwise well equipped, in the sense of he's just got a rusty dagger, but we can totally give him that. And, you know, moving him to the front line isn't actually a terrible idea as long as we are careful. But it does mean I have to give Ray something else. And actually, Ray's, you know, reasonably equipped for armor. He's better than Tatum, but Tatum doesn't really have anything either. You know, this is our problem. And I don't think I have anything else to equip these guys with. Doesn't seem to be anything else in here, right? I could pick up another steel ingot, I think. But what would I do with it? Make another key? You know, I don't think that's terribly useful. Yeah, I think this is all searched out. So, we have Old Craig, but I can't give Old Craig anything to do unless I move him to the front. Same goes for everybody else, right? What I think we'll do is actually move Ray up, right? With Della in the back. Della has her sling. Actually, let's move Della forward and let's move the spear onto Della, because I saw that, you know, her stats aren't really remarkable strength or dexterity wise, but back here Egbert actually has a dexterity adjustment, so he's better with a ranged weapon as is. So I'm going to give him one. I've never actually tried to move their, like, personal clothing around. I suppose you could.
This door is locked and won't budge.
So I can use the key. Door opens. Oh,
Your
look.
entrance startles the large, scuttling creature that seems to have been nibbling on what remains of an axe blade. It rears up in surprise, emitting an eerie, chittering noise.
We win initiative. That suits me. So, you know, again, double click just automatically attacks. Ooh, 3. +2 is still a miss. +20's a hit. Max damage. Okay. Here's where I go, oh, I should have moved the spear onto Ray, because Ray's in second line. And I didn't do that. So I have to pass. Or use an item that Ray can't use. Now it's going to attack me back. And it gets 2 attacks. That one's going to hit. Ooh, ouch. 4 points. Well, 3. Okay, Greg. Craig, just finish it off, would you? Good job.
The earthy smell of rusting metal and leather gone to rot fill this chamber that clearly once served as an armory. Mouldering armor and rusting weapons sit in chaotic piles, strewn without care and long forgotten.
Right, and, you know, if I go back in here, now Ray is healed, so I'm going to transfer the ring to Starla so she can heal. And in fact, let's move these 2 around, right? Put her in the back line. Again, yeah, I should totally take this spear and give it to Starla, because she's a better combatant than Della is. Della could use the Scroll of Lightning, I believe. So, you know, there's that option for her. But let's give her a weapon just in case she ends up having to move to the rank forward. And we can see some objects in the room. So, like, you know, we got this small shield. Armor class +1. Rounded studded shield constructed of reinforced iron and leather arm straps. Pick that up. Let's give that to someone who needs some armor, like Craig. We saw another one over here. we'll do that. Let's let Ray be our tank, right? We see, oh, and our spear. Excellent. And another Morning Star, which I don't think we'll actually be able to use considering how things are going. But the Rusty Spear, you know, allows us to let Della be a combatant from the second row again. And, oh, here's our other lever.
A grinding noise, followed by the sound of metal scraping on stone, echoes from deep within the keep.
And, you know, that's classic kind of gatekeeping, preventing us from getting too far into this before we're ready or without having done some required combat.
These weapons have been corroded beyond use by the Iron Belly's fetid bile.
I've actually never been hit so far by the Iron Beast's, you know, corrosion attack. I wonder if it destroys or degrades a weapon. I don't want to do it again, though, to find out. And as you can see, we're back here at the front. But if I cross over, and we go on up the way, that portcullis is gone, right? There's more. There's not a lot more, but there's more. So I'm gonna finish it off. Okay.
A large, barren courtyard opens before you, complete with mature trees and cobblestone walkways. As you cross the threshold, a sprinkling of pebbles and dust rain down from above. From atop the towering walls surrounding the courtyard, a group of screeching kobolds vault the parapets and descend upon you.
What I like is that these are old school dog kobolds. Instead of the dragon ones, right? Ah, lost initiative. Right. Critical miss, which basically just means they miss. That hit. Ouch. Sorry, Tatum. Losing initiative is unpleasant for this encounter. Hang in there, man. Ah, see, rolled a 1, still conflicted 1 point of damage because it's a sling. It's not a penalized weapon. And I can't reorganize these guys mid-combat. But I can use a healing potion for Tatum, so I'm going to be doing that. But right now I'm going to have Krieg attack this guy. Krieg missed badly. Right, so I'm going to go to use. I'm going to have him use this healing potion. He healed 6 points. We move on to the next person. Sad. Okay, kid. Let's have you try to take out one of the backliners because they actually don't have damage penalties on their weapons. 11's a hit. That's good to know. And you can see the spear wielder can't reach the back line, but can reach over the compatriots in front and attack somebody here in the front line. Eight was a hit, but 1 minus 1 is 0. Now they get their round. Oh, good. And they all missed. Well, that's nice. Six misses. 8 does hit, so I wonder if it's 7. 1 critical miss. It doesn't actually do anything to be critically missing currently, but again, we do just miss, which sucks. So a 7 misses. 8 is what we need. Magic scrolls are single-use items. Once used, the written spell vanishes. So Starla has the ability to use magic scrolls, even though she's like, because she's going to be a magic user or elf. Divine scrolls are used by clerics. Your party members start as unskilled, level 0 common folk. Their true class and abilities remain dormant until they reach level 1. However, since this character has arcane potential, elf or magic user, they can use arcane scrolls at level 0. So we're letting Starla use a magic missile scroll we just happened to get from somewhere. Use it by right-clicking in your inventory and choosing Use Item. So, before I do that, Scroll of Magic Missiles. School Arcane, a dried parchment emblazoned with a swirling bolt. When read, it unleashes a bolt of force upon the target, doing 1d4 plus 1 damage. Usable by magic users and elves. Please note this is more potent than the Scroll of Lightning. Use... Try and take out the one in the front. Yes. And then, can I get the last guy? Well, the 7 is a hit. Okay. And again, that's the game tutorializing us, you know. If I check the inventory, the party gold is 107 so far. And we can see the XP is just 50. I feel like we've earned more XP than that. To save time, this door doesn't open.
Despite your best efforts.
And this other door is the same, blocking off areas that we won't be able to access right now in the demo. This is our final boss encounter here. And that's where we're going to wrap up our video today. So let's do that. You can see that's off in the distance. That's quite ominous, right? But we haven't encountered it yet. We're in the next room. We're here. The encounter's here in room 26. And you're like, well, room 26? We haven't encountered 26 rooms. Exactly. This is how, you know, modules were laid out back in the day.
Who are you that dares enter this sacred place?
You there, are you that dares enter a sacred place? Now, we have our options. We come on behalf of Lord of Weepstone to explore the keep. We would have your name first. We're here on behalf of Rawl. Whom do we address? I like, you know, let's get a name.
I find your hubris amusing. I would see you clearer. Come closer. Now.
So, yeah.
It would be rude to not introduce myself to guests. I am Laronia, the Ever Faithful.
Ever Faithful? As opposed to Lorona the Ever Living?
You say you've come on behalf of Byron. How does he fare? Still a craven, I presume?
I never said any such thing. You speak of him familiarly. Do you know our lord?
I know him well, as he does me. I don't know that he speaks of me often, though.
Sorry, can't say I've heard of you. Actually, I've reread your name twice, but...
I am untroubled by what fools do not know, but they make such bad company. Time to remedy that.
Some classic skeletons and evil priestess. What more can you ask for? In winning initiative, that's what you can ask for. So, we failed our save versus spell, and Starla's paralyzed for 2 turns. They hit Tatum for 1 point. That will hit Craig for 2 points. And that misses Ray. Alright, so let's start by just beating up some skeletons. That was a 2. Doing great, guys. Doing great. There we go. Right, we finally eliminated one of them. With the sling, I could shoot for the caster, or I can choose the skeletons. Skeletons are in my face, but, you know, shooting a caster is always a good idea, in my opinion. 7 is a miss, though. Now, spears, we have to kind of focus forward. 8 is a miss. Okay, so we need to do better than 8. She has to pass because she's held, and that just leaves Egbert. And again, we miss. Well, at least we took one of them out. She passes, interestingly. Well, that's not going to hit, thankfully. Hang in there, Craig. Oh, jeez. Craig's gonna die. Sorry, Craig. So, R.E.P. Craig, slain by a skeleton. Death. Ultimately, death is not unusual in the lands of Weepstone, and believe it or not, it's not all bad. Mortal favors. When people of the Weepstone die, they convey otherworldly boons called mortal favors upon their friends and loved ones. Each character has a unique mortal favor. They vary wildly, and little is known about their origin or cause. Mastery of none. Craig seems resigned to his fate as he breathes his last, finally free of the burden of his dark past. All characters are granted plus 3% chance of success on their ability tests, which I don't know how that's really going to help us here, but okay. Ah, good, we connected. And that'll womp that one. Good. Let's see if we can take this one out. That's 11 is a miss. Interesting. Okay. Again, you know, you have these moments where the dice fail you. It's unfortunate when that happens. Still have to pass for the second turn. Maybe connect? Yes. Well, 1 point on the spellcaster. That'll annoy her. She passes. 20 for maximum damage, however. Ow. Tatum, take it out. Four points was enough. That's good. Ray can now attack Lorona. And connects. A good stab of 5 points. Still only damage, though. Seven's a miss. How about we don't have a divine scroll. She's just basically wielding a spear forever. 7, miss. I could have her use the scroll of lightning. You know what? Why not? Let's do that. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but let's do it. Somehow I rolled a d6 even though it says d4 damage. Well, we're up to badly hurt. She missed Tatum. Tatum can swing back. 9 is a miss. 18 will hit. But minimal damage. But she's at near death. Come on, boy. 3. Man. Okay, Della, come on. That's a hit. 4, 0 damage. We're just annoying her at this point. Starla, can you do it? Thank you. Still 1 point of damage because of the strength adjustment. And Egbert, can you finish her? Come on, Egbert. 1 point. Will someone die this time? No, hold person. Ray must save. Ray fails his save. Ray's paralyzed. Tatum, can you do it? Maximum damage. Finished with a crit. Classic styling. Enemy XP 795, 46 gold, total 841 XP. Quite potent encounter.
I must have misinterpreted the omens. Today, he calls for me. It matters not. I am only a servant in his grand designs. It has already begun.
And with that, the spark of life fades from the mad priestess, leaving behind naught but a dead-eyed rictus.
And here we are. Thank you for playing. We hope that you enjoyed this demo for Secret of Weepstone. This game is a love letter to the art and playstyle of classic RPGs of the 80s that we love so much. This demo represents just a small slice of the adventure and danger that awaits. Please consider wishlisting the game on Steam. Follow the development of the game on our social media pages. Wishlist now. They have a Discord. They have, back to the main menu, and they have a QR code, which is on the screen right now. And just to say, this over here seems to be relevant to the map we saw, but we don't get to see all of it, and it goes in different places. I wonder if that's going to be spoilerish or it's just something. But that has been the demo, and I hope if you're still here, you probably found this enjoyable enough to be here. Consider trying it for yourself. There are some things that go differently. I didn't lose any of my characters under my first playthrough, so I didn't really know how the boons work. That's the main variable right now available to us, and the fact that the way the combat encounters will roll. You can't mix up the party composition very much, but it's been a fun game for me. Thank you so much for being here and putting up with this for this Halloween. I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.